asked for this. Why? An alt girl surrounded by cute girly things. Why is she here demanding your attention on TikTok and starting a podcast? I'm unemployed. I was working for this bar. It was pretty dope. It was sick. I was well on my way to becoming bar manager. I was getting a raise. I live in New York City. Everything's awesome. And then they gave me 4 days notice that they were closing the bar. So I figured the only natural thing that makes sense now that I'm facing unemployment, well, I am unemployed, is starting a podcast. Because if white men can do it, so can an alt girl. Who am I? That's a great question. I'm Brinly. Hi. I am, we ask who we are. People want names, they want your job, they want your, I don't know. They want to know, we'll cut. We'll figure out somewhere. We're going to hop, skip around. I'm really figuring out this whole podcasting thing. So this first episode is going to be choppy as fuck. But at least I have a dope set for my first podcast. I mean, pretty solid set. It wasn't originally a set. This was just my office. This is how I live. The doll shelf. I'm a writer. So I need my inspirations on the wall when I'm typing away. Cooking up some stories. I need some inspiration, so much to everyone else I live with's expense, the doll shelf. You can tell I have some favorite characters because they're on the shelf multiple times. There's Elsa and Elphaba here in bear form, Build-A-Bear form. And then, as you can see here, there's Elsa, and then there's Elphaba again. And where you can't see, there's Elphaba. And then there's Elsa and Elsa. And the crazy thing is, Elphaba and Elsa are like the same character. Fun fact, yeah. See, Disney was trying to get the rights to Frozen for like ever, and Disney was trying to get the rights to Wicked. I'm a dumbass. They were trying to get the rights to Wicked, and they were like, "Can we have Wicked, please?" And they were like, "No, because you consume everything and ruin everything." Which, crazy thing for me to say with the Disney girls, but I love them, okay? I love Disney princesses, okay? But I can also hate, the capitalism that Disney's killing us all with. Anyways, they were like, "Give us Wicked," and the people who own Wicked were like, "No." And so they were like, "Okay, we're just gonna write Wicked, but through a different lens, and we're just gonna get Indina Menzel, who played Elphaba, to play Elsa." And it's literally the same story, essentially. So that's a fun fact. That's a fun fact that we're starting off with. I guess podcast is called Brinly's Yapathon. I'm gonna go off course while talking all the time. We're gonna get there. And I'm just gonna say shit, okay? And it's gonna be fine, because most of the time, pretty entertaining shit comes out of my mouth, so it's fine. We're all gonna get there together. Ooh, did you maybe just get some ASMR fizzle from my Coke? Or not my Coke, it's a Pepsi. God forbid, not a Coke. I'm known for loving a Pepsi. This isn't sponsored, but Pepsi, you could sponsor me. I really do just unironically love Pepsi. Like, I'm kind of well known for it, that I can just kill a pep. Figured I'd get the cute little bottle for filming. Anyways, who am I? I am Brinly. I'm a writer, I'm a singer, I'm an actress, and I'm now a professional yapper. The thing is, okay, maybe, so you could say I'm an artist. I'm an inspiring artist, so, in New York City, the Big Apple. I used to live in Indiana, and that was lots of corn, unironically. When I was growing up, there was literally a cornfield across the street across from my house. And eventually, I went, this is mind-numbing, and Republicans. That was the scariest part. And so I said, I gotta go. Like, I gotta go. And then I moved to New York. And New York's pretty dope. I enjoy it. All the trials that people say that come with living in New York, real. They didn't lie to you. And quite frankly, they're sugarcoating it. Yeah. But it really is still at least better than Indiana. That's something. That's where I'm from. Things I'm going to yap about. I'm gonna write, blah, 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 blah. God, I hope you're not listening to this on headphones. That would suck. Anyways, we'll hope that any of this is coherent by the end of this. But I'm still getting comfortable. I figured a podcast is like a talk show. I figured we don't, I figured a podcast is like a talk show. I could run a talk show. That's why we're here. Right. This is why I took notes. I have to keep looking at these things. I'm going to get better at this, but this is the first episode, and I figured this unfiltered, I don't know how to start a podcast, could, maybe if you want to start a podcast, you could go, that was really embarrassing, and it's okay to embarrass yourself on the internet. It really is. Because it's just like, I don't know, going to high school again. You're just putting content out there, and you're like, you're once again the weird kid in high school who's like, I hope everyone likes me. Yeah, like, I'm definitely that person who's like, social media is performative bullshit, but I will be participating in it, thanks. Anyways. I don't think anything I've said is coherent, and I almost think I should start over. But we persevere. We persevere. I'm doing this in one take. Yikes. Okay, who am I? We figured that out. I'm Brinly. Clearly, I don't shut up. So, hence Brinly's Yapathon. Anyways, why am I doing a podcast now? I am unemployed. And what am I? I'm a writer, singer, and I'm an actress. I went to school for acting, specifically musical theater. So you're gonna catch me singing sometimes. I'm so sorry. You're just gonna have to hear me sing. So I do that. I'm also a writer. I'm writing, despite all this, the book I'm writing is very dark. It is a sci-fi book. It's going to be called Andromeda. And it's going to be kind of like Hunger Games meets Game of Thrones meets Star Wars. We kind of see in the vibe. Set in a Western setting. Space Western. And my main character, her name's Bruta Jolene. She's the sharpest shooter in the West. And she's dope. Dope. She's so cool. And I can't wait to show her to you someday. I'm very, very passionate about my writing. I also write fanfiction on AO3. You can find me at Aaron410. If you like Kylo Ren, or if you like One Piece, I got something for you on there. So, check that out. Okay, that's what I do. Podcast format. Here's what you're going to get every week with this podcast. I am going to yap about the things I've been thinking about. I literally just took notes about things that I have thoughts on. And I'm just going to give you one hot take after another. And maybe you're going to learn something about my special interests. And maybe you have those special interests too. Because I find a lot of my special interests overlap. So, bringing different communities together of different absolute nerds. And then at some point, every podcast I am going to yap about my book a little. I'm going to yap about my book, and then I'm going to go, and someday when I talk to a publisher and there's pre-sales, please pre-sale my book. Yeah, you're getting that advertisement every week. And I'll pair that, I'll have that after. Eventually when I get sponsors, hey, isn't this going great? Don't you want to sponsor me? Because this is going really awesome. Okay. And then, ASMR for you. Oh, and then at the end of it, I'm going to close out with some feminist motivation for the week, because my book is about feminism, also. A big, big feminist me. I'm pretty much, I'm the token family unbearable feminist. I have been since high school. That's another thing about me. I am so unbearably a feminist. You know, I'm such a good feminist. I have been blocked by 4 separate men. You know, like the whole thing when people are like, if you get blocked by a man, like if a man has to block you, you're the scary one. I've been blocked by 4 separate men. Yeah, that's how good I am. Yeah, men hate me. You're all welcome. I do my part. I do my part, I really, really do. I really fucking hate men. And I'm not afraid to say it. I think if you're a woman, that should be your natural state of being. I think men should have to work hard to prove, that they don't want to kill you before you let them into their lives. That's just something I think men should have to do. I am here for the girls and the gays, the theys, and my people of color. That's what I'm here for. Because I'm a feminist. And feminism, the thing about feminism is it's for fucking everybody. Feminism is for everybody, and to lift up women is to, lift up everyone else too. Like, every single progressive movement is interlocked. So I rock with all y'all. I just feel qualified to talk about feminism because that's what I've been studying. So that's what I'm going to be talking about. And I'll also talk about being autistic, and I'm also going to talk about being a little gay. Those are 3 things about me. I'm gay in the sense I am bisexual from the everything about me. I do have a boyfriend. I'm so sorry to let you all down. But, you'll look at him and you'll go, yeah, she got one of the good ones. So, I have a great boyfriend. And what was I saying? Oh, talking about being autistic, talking about being bisexual, because I'm also clearly autistic from the everything about this environment right here. And yeah, I'm going to talk about being a woman aggressively. I think women should be so loud about being a woman. So loud. Because I used to be that type of bi girl who I guess would, like, when I first came out as bi, really nobody cared. Because everyone was like, well, you're going to end up with a boyfriend anyways. Which I did, but I saw a lot of women for a long, long time. Also closeted. We had no idea what we were doing. It was Indiana, and it was 2015. The resources were not resourcing, and nobody gave a shit if you were bisexual. So, not that anyone has to care about your sexuality. Nobody should be that invested in anyone's sexuality. Everyone should just mind their own business. But that's all to say that. Anyways, the thing is, I also have crazy ADHD. So this is really gonna teach me something about staying on topic. I have no idea what I was talking about. Yikes. But I used to be very conformative. That's what I was talking about. I used to be very, very conformative. And I would try to kind of blend in. That was I just didn't want... Because growing up, I had a cross eye and, the undiagnosed autism. So I was, my peers had diagnosed me with being annoying. And I was also the top musical theater student in my state. So, just unbearable. And I took all the advanced English classes and the advanced history classes. And I was very, when it came time to, I really liked Hermione Granger in middle school. That was my GOAT back in the day. That's just who I was, I was not very likable, but I at least was very conformative, and I was just trying to blend in, and I would dim my light, so that men would like me. And then I grew up a little and found out that's a fucking stupid thing to do. You as a woman should be, so this is why now the opposite of that, I've always kind of been edgy. I was the edgy alt girl, that's conformative in that way. I used to be very manic pixie dream girl, and I would do it on purpose, I guess, you could say for attention, but everyone's doing something for attention in high school. Everyone's, everyone has a persona in high school, so, but whatever. But I very much, manic pixie dream girl coded myself. And I was doing that, again, everyone's doing something for attention in high school. So I wouldn't even say it was, but whatever, my point. Case B. And I would not try to be overly feminine. You know, I'd wear the flannel and the baggy jeans and I'd be like, oh, just like, I'm just here to chill. Like, annoying ass shit, right? And now I tried to be, and like, I used to, like, cringe at, like, female stuff, you know? Like, I was really, raised under some, like, strict patriarchy that I really bought into that I had to deconstruct. And so, now that I have an extremely supporting and loving partner who takes wonderful care of me and I love, like, more than anything, that's really helped, like, me feel secure in my femininity, and then me feeling more confident in my sexuality and in my gender. Oh, I guess, yeah, she, her pronouns work, they, them pronouns work. I kind of don't think gender's real, but we don't have time to unpack all of that right now. That's for a different time, but that's my opinion on that. Anyways, now that I've learned to express myself more fully and I really feel like I'm, you know, who I want to be, I really take a lot of inspiration from my childhood of, like, this is how I've, like, reached a place of, like, happiness within myself despite the blah of everything going on outside in the fucking world. The way that I ground myself is I really indulge in things that made me happy, like, when I was a little girl to, like, a teenager, like, things that truly made me happy, I really just try to, like, fully invest in those. I try to feed my inner child as much as possible. Like, that is why I do everything for, like, the healing purpose of my inner child. And so I finally feel like I am kind of, like, if I saw me, you know, when I was, like, 10 and I saw me now, I would be like, she is so cool. And that's just how I want literally every single, you know, really genuinely, I want every person to feel that way. But specifically, you know, the hoes I ride for. Okay? The girls, gays, and theys. That's who I'm riding for. And I'm hoping at the end of the day, so my whole point is what I'm going to be doing at the end of the podcast is talking about motivational stuff and how I keep myself going and feeling good about myself despite the craziness of the world, despite, like, really hard times, you know, like, just became unemployed. How do I move through that, you know? And we're all just writing this together, and I just trying to be as much of, like, just as much as myself as possible, because that's what makes me the happiness in trying to just, you know, inspire other people to search for that version of themselves. Just because I think this is a time for women to be so vocally themselves. And, you know, everyone who I ride with, we all need to push to be ourselves as much as possible. That was the first big yap. We got through it together. That was wonderful. It was really beautiful. I think I'm gonna be good at this once I get the hang of it. It's just, like, taking me a minute. It's scary. It's scary to just, like, be like, you know, to have the fucking audacity. Be like, I can sit and talk in my office and everyone's gonna think I'm so great and they're gonna want to listen to me talk for an hour. You know, but it's like women, as, you know, or female presenting people or queer people, autistic people. The thing is, it's like, we are literally trained to make ourselves small and think our voices aren't important, which is why I think it's important to even just have a podcast and, like, talk about my autistic special interest. To be like, no, that's important. There's, you know, that is important that exists in society. I just, you know, like, we're just taught to make ourselves smaller. And so I just want to push the boundary of how big can I be despite the bullshit. And I acknowledge, like, I'm a little white girl. Like, I think that's another thing, too. Like, you also, like, if you're even a white queer person, like, still, like, you do have to, like, check yourself and always, always, always be staying educated. Like, you have to. Like, it's non-negotiable. And so that's just to say, too, like, if I ever say some dumb shit that I'm uneducated on, fucking call me out on that. Because, like, I am always fucking here to learn and be a better version of myself. So, that's to say that. You see how now I'm getting cozy. I'm like, wow, this is my set. people come over to my apartment, I'm like, oh, sorry, the set, it's set up right now. I'm a podcaster because I'm unemployed. I wish you could see the rest of the office. It's kind of a banger, but this is all you're getting. Anyways, let's start talking about what I want to yap about this week. That's the format. So format summary, since, I'm gonna yap about my special interest this week. I'm gonna talk about my book. And then I'm gonna close off with some motivation for the week. And yeah, my podcast is gonna range from like very, very silly to super serious. Cause I have complexities, I have multitudes. I contain multitudes. So, that is a reference to the play John Proctor's The Villain, my favorite show that was on Broadway last season. If you don't know John Proctor's The Villain, buy the script online. That, might be my favorite play of all time. And I also just love Sadie Sink. And yeah, John Proctor is a villain. I'm putting you onto that. Research John Proctor is the villain. Anywho, so, time to get autistic with it. Let's talk about my special interest for the week. Who's texting me? Not right now. Anyways, time to talk about my special interest for the week. The Hunt for Ben Solo. Found out a couple weeks ago. Or maybe it wasn't that long ago. Anyways, found out that Adam Driver and the writers of Ocean 11 were going to make a Kylo Ren movie, and then it was like greenlit all the way through Lucasfilm, and then when it got to Disney, Bob Iger said, I hate alternative women and book talk. Yep. So that's what happened. The movie's now supposedly not happening, which, really irks me, because Kylo Ren was kind of my entire personality back in the day. If you had the misfortune of knowing me in high school, you probably were a little traumatized with the things I thought were okay to say out loud. But, clearly I've learned nothing, because I'm still doing it. Now I'm making it the entire internet's problem. So, it's, what I'm hoping is that this is all just giving, when Ryan Reynolds leaked the stuff for Deadpool to kind of stir up interest and then go, hey, look, there's a bunch of interest in this movie, and then they go, okay, we'll make it. I'm really manifesting right now that, that's what's gonna happen, because if that's not what happens, I'm gonna be a little livid. I'm gonna go, crazy. Because Kylo Ren, back in the day, when I was going through high school, every day I was, white-knuckling the sink, just trying to get through life. And the only thing that kept me going, the only light in my heart, was Kylo Ren and getting me to seeing Episode 9. And then Episode 9 was the worst film I've ever seen in my entire life, and that's a hill I'll die on. I hate that movie. Tell us how you really feel. I hate it. It's my least favorite movie ever. And if I found a genie and I had 3 wishes, I would legitimately use one of my wishes to wish for Episode 9 to be good. There's a whole lot of good you can do with a genie wish, but I'm wishing that Star Wars ended better. Yeah. And that's not to say I dislike the sequels. Clearly, I quite like them. From the Kylo Ren memorabilia all over my apartment, much to, again, all of my roommates' dismay. So sorry, I love you guys. Anyways, really icks me off. But I really think us alt baddies and us book talk girlies are going to, we're gonna rally the troops a little. And then Disney's gonna go, wow, something that could actually make us money, because all we've done is lost money this year. And, maybe they'll rub their 2 tiny brain cells together and they'll go give them the Kylo Ren fan service movie. Just do it already! You're gonna piss me off! Oh, and like, I've always loved Star Wars. Star Wars has always been one of my favorite things ever. I loved it far before the sequels. Whenever my dad got, like, a new TV or a new sound system growing up, he would always play to, like, adjust the settings on the TV. He'd always play the same scene, and he would play The Empire Strikes Back. And he would always play the scene with, when they're on Hoth with the AT-ATs. And so I watched Star Wars growing up because my dad loved it. And then the Clone Wars was coming out, like, when I was a kid. So then I fell in love with Ahsoka Tano, and I watched all through Clone Wars. And when the sequels first came out, I didn't even really care for The Force Awakens. I just was like, this is A New Hope again with girl Luke Skywalker, which is what a lot of people said. But either way, I still liked having a female character. Like, I didn't dislike the film, but I was like, cool. It wasn't until the second film, The Last Jedi, that I was like, we're so fucking back with the Star Wars hyperfixation. Like, I used to play pretend, like, when I was younger, like, my invisible friend was Anakin Skywalker. Yeah, and I would pretend to get captured, and then he would rescue me. That was, like, something I did as a kid. So, what does that say? Anyways, but I've always been a Star Wars girly. Then Kylo Ren. And I really love The Last Jedi. I really love that movie, and you can all, pry that movie out of my cold, dead hands. I understand why some people don't like it. Like, I've argued with enough people about this film to really understand the other side of the story, why people don't like that film. And you know what? Fair enough. However, I think it thematically captures the entire point of Star Wars. I really do. I think Star Wars is all about, like, your heroes, and, sometimes your heroes let you down. That's what I think, like, the point of the sequels is. Like, and I know that that's, like, a hard pill for some people to swallow, but, like, you think about it, it's, like, the same story, like, with Anakin. And now it's just being told again, and now it's, like, showing just, like, the generational cycle of, like, people can still be heroes, but, like, they can not be great parents. And that really shapes you. Like, your family history shapes you. And I love the contrast between, like, Kylo having all this baggage in the sense of, like, wrapped up in identity of being someone. And then you have the contrast of Rey, who is no one, no one important, and both of them being mirrors of each other, showing each other that, like, no, their worth is in their actions. Like, that is what I was hoping was going to be the whole point of this, the sequel trilogy. And just to show that, like, again, like, balance is not about, like, only being light or only being dark, it's about embracing yourself fully. And that's what I thought the sequels could have been. And, hopefully, if this Ben Solo movie still happens, hey, writing team, hit me up. I actually know some things. Read my fan fiction, The Legacy of Skywalker. It's a rewrite of The Rise of Skywalker, how I thought that should have gone, with a little bit of, I mean, it is also called 50 Shades of Rey. So there's that element of it as well. I have not been uploading weekly. I stopped doing that because I was employed, but now that I'm unemployed, I'll update that for you guys. Don't worry. I have all the time in the world. So, anyways, my point is, goth girlies, book talk girlies, everyone, let's get 10 toes down on this Kylo Ren movie thing happening. Let's not shut up about it. I'm gonna keep posting about it on my TikTok, and I'm gonna throw a fit until Disney notices and makes that film. Okay? I'm gonna keep making a fit about it until you give me what I want, Disney. So, give me the Kylo Ren movie. It's the only thing we could possibly have going for us, all girlies, right now, okay? Like, there's a lot of bad shit happening. We could at least have the Kylo Ren movie. That's what I think. Anyways, that's my thoughts on the hunt for Ben Solo. My thoughts are, continue to be obnoxious until we get what we want. Yes, that's what I'm advocating for. Now, second thing on my list, I was Nami from One Piece for Halloween. I'm gonna have to make some TikToks in the Nami costume. I put some up. I love One Piece. I got little Labubu Zoro right there. I love One Piece. I'm not caught up to current. I know. Sorry. I'm trying. I'm doing my best. I only started watching it about a year ago. I'm about a third of the way through the show. I think that's pretty good. I was Nami, my boyfriend was Sanji, my best friend was Nico Robin, and my other friend was Monkey D. Luffy. And so we balled out. It was kind of sick, except for the sexual harassment was awful. Oh my god, it was just like the anime. It was actually insanely, mind-bogglingly, like, what is going on here? We've all lost our minds. But that's the mistake of when you sexually harass Nami and Nico Robin from One Piece. You know, we got Luffy and Sanji right behind us. So, it was pretty iconic, to watch, Luffy and, Sanji, you know, deal with men sexually harassing, you know, Nami and Nico Robin. I'm sure the people around us, like, as much as they were also grossed out by the men who were harassing us, they were also kind of geeked, because some of them were One Piece fans, and they were like, holy shit, it's a show in real life. I loved being Nami from One Piece, because it also then empowered me, like, while I was being sexually harassed, I was fully handling it the way Nami would handle it. That's the thing about me. If you're gonna sexually harass me, baby girl, I'm about to make you feel real insecure. I'm calling you bald. Because you are, and I can see it with my own eyes. I found out the hard way once I started dyeing my hair. This is my real hair. Yes, I dye my hair. Obviously, it's just not a wig is what I'm trying to say. When I started dyeing my hair, hey alt baddies, if you dye your hair a bright color, you're gonna start being sexually harassed way more than when you had normal color hair. Why? I could go down multiple theory rabbit holes, mostly because incels are disgusting. And unfortunately, they're also allowed to consume anime. They shouldn't be allowed. I think that's for, you know, the girly pops. Men watch anime? Why are you doing that? That's embarrassing. Like, go fight in a war or something. Actually, stop fighting in wars. That's what I'm actually asking you to do. But, like, yeah, maybe stop fighting in wars. Learn to stop doing that. Then you can watch anime. Because they watch anime and you still don't even get the point. People are like, One Piece isn't political. Attack on Titan isn't political. Aaron's my favorite character. If Eren Yeager's your favorite character, you're an imbecile. Monkey D. Luffy would beat the fuck out of Eren Yeager, okay? Monkey D. Luffy would not like Eren Yeager. And if you think they would work together, you need to rewatch both shows, okay? Argue with me about it. But men watch anime? Why? That's for the girls, okay? Like, fuck. What are we doing? Like, what do you know about Light and Elle kissing? You don't, so why are you even watching it? Unless you're watching for Light and Elle kissing. But, yeah. But yeah, so sexual harassment if you dye your hair gets pretty bad. And, yeah, the way I handle it is, if you come up and you sexually harass me, I am going to say something so mean to you that you are going to lay awake at night thinking about it for years. And I really think all women should start doing that. I also think women, you should have a knife with you. And I think you should have pepper spray and a taser. And when you have those three things, I think when men sexually harass you, you should start telling them that their mother doesn't love them. I really think that you should do that, you know? If they can dish it out, baby girl, they can take it. That's what I think. I think if you're gonna sexually harass me, I'm gonna point out that you're wearing sandals and you've never cut your toenails, okay? I'm gonna tell you that you smell like a Buffalo Wild Wings, okay? I listen to Ash and Nico, okay? I listen to Megan Thee Stallion. I'm not playing these games with you, okay? So, I guess that's my Nami-esque message from saying I was Nami from One Piece. Be like Nami from One Piece. That's the GOAT, okay? That's the GOAT. Anyways. Something else that I did this week was I saw Beetlejuice on Broadway because I had some friends in town and I'm a musical theater girly. I saw the original, and this is like the tour that's stopping in New York, but honestly, I'm gonna say it, I enjoyed the tour more. I know that's a crazy hot take, but here's the thing. When you don't have such an elaborate set, it forces you to act. Now, I didn't see the original Broadway cast. I saw a different cast on Broadway. But I just think sometimes I'm not a big flashy set person, and I say that mostly because it takes away from the acting. I want to see something that is well acted, and on the tour, these actors were giving it in these performances. They were giving it! Oh my gosh, the girl playing Lydia? I cried multiple times in your performance. Girl, you killed. Oh my gosh. That had me sobbing. I had me crying. And like, the show ended, I was fully into it. Like, I was really getting into watching Beetlejuice, alright? It was great. At the end of the show, the guy next to me tapped my shoulder with his reusable cup, and he was like, I just saw how much you love the show. Like, do you want my cup? And I was like, yes, thank you. I want your cup. That's so nice of you. Beetlejuice killed. Cast me as Lydia someday. This is my audition. Hey, Mom. Dead Mom, I need a little help here. See? Cast me. Anyways, it was fantastic. It's a really funny show. They redid some jokes. They have, like, while Lydia's stepmom is trying to, like, relate to Lydia and she can't relate to her, they have this slot where they always switch out the joke for whatever the newest joke is. She's like, Lydia, why can't we just get along? 6'7". And then Lydia just looks at her. I'm like, that's hilarious. That's hilarious. I love that we're buying into that stuff. That's great to me. So I enjoyed that. Yes. Now, that's kind of what I've been thinking about, other than, like, you know, the fun stuff that I've been thinking about. I have been having incredibly dark thoughts because I no longer have a job, which is crazy business. And, you know, so I'm thinking about the state of the world and how yikes everything is. But I don't have to say that because I know you all feel it in your hearts that we're living through World War III. Isn't that awesome? That's so cool. And that's something I was genuinely thinking about is, like, you know, coming out here and, like, making a podcast and asking for attention when there's so many things in the world that, like, are way more important, that are demanding your attention, that are truly, like, so important, that an awareness is so important. And I'm gonna try to be as much of an advocate for everything I possibly can in the internet space that I have and create an environment where people feel safe talking about all these things. But really the point of my podcast is, I was thinking about, okay, if you're gonna do this, what's the point? And I really just want the point to be, like, a fun little yap session for the girls. I want to just bring some joy into your week. I want this to be the type of podcast you can listen to, like, while at the gym or going shopping or meal prepping for the week. Just, you know, like a fun little kiki with the girls to try to lighten your mood, you know? Just try to, like, oh, it sounds so cheesy and cliche, be like, I just really want to be your friend. But, like, really, like, I think people have an interesting lens on the internet and posting online, and, you know, you're doing something, like, for attention, you know, for the fame and the money of it all. Like, people have a weird relationship with all those things. But I want to do this podcast because I have a lot of art I want to put out in the world, and I want you to know who I am as an artist, kind of what I stand by, and, you know, talk about my art with you all, talk about other people's art. I just want to be as collaborative as possible with everything that I'm doing, and I figure you can't be more collaborative than just having a conversation. So I also see this as a conversation and a way for me to learn and put myself out there, and I see everything as when you put something on the internet, it's like an energy exchange, because I'm, you know, putting my time in for your attention, so thank you for watching all this and caring about me just blabbering. But, you know, I'm gonna try to put out some motivational energy and some lighthearted energy just to, like, you know, hopefully make some people laugh, have some people feel related to, and, I'm just gonna figure it out as I go, and I'm gonna just do my best. So that's all I guess to say, and kind of my purpose of it. Talk about, things as they happen. Like, when Wicked happens, I'll talk about Wicked, and, just have a place where the pop culture girlies to go, and just feel like we're having, like, a fun little chat. That's all I want this to be. And again, I'll say again a million times that, like, I want to learn as much as possible, and I want to advocate as much as possible, and just make a safe space for people, and just as this grows. So that's a deeper thing that I was thinking about. Now we're coming to the part of the podcast where I talk about my book. So my book is called Andromeda. It is a space western, like, sci-fi action adventure political book. It's an adventure book, but disguised as gender theory. Really, my whole book is about exploring what it means to live under patriarchy, and showing, the battlefield that is a woman's mind, like, living under strict patriarchy, and really looking at a future where things are worse, and how women combat that. How do we combat, the insurmountable, what feels like an insurmountable position that women have been put in since literally forever. It's a heavy book. It's a very action-focused book. Something is always happening. The plot happens very quickly. You're following our main character, Bruta Jolene. She is a 15-year-old girl who is in an arranged marriage that she wants out of. And she also has the ability she's a psychic medium, and she can see into the future. So it's all about her using her powers, her trying to understand her place in society, and her trying to escape the system that she lives in. There's so much lore. It is so dense. I've tried to come up with, I've been working on this book series for like 5 years maybe, coming up with the lore. I wanted the lore to be so dense and feel so real, like Star Wars, but if Star Wars had been planned out to be that dense from the beginning. It's a very, like, Game of Thrones-esque world, but in, like, a Western setting. There's very real stakes. If a character dies, like, they're dead. There's no, like, traditional magic in it, And it's Hunger Games-esque in, like, a dystopian sense of, like, governments have such extreme power or some people have such extreme power that they're just doing really insane things to people. And it's about, just like how society becomes like a ticking time bomb, all through the lens of a 15-year-old girl who is just trying to be happy. Literally. It's something I've worked on for so long. I'm well through writing the first, or the final, what I think is going to be the final draft. Maybe like second to last final draft. And I'm hoping to find a publisher for it sometime next year, start talking to a publisher. But I just want to start talking about it now because I want people to be excited about it. Honest to God, my goal is I want to be a New York Times bestseller, like, off the bat. Like, I just, like, I want that success for myself. And that's another thing I'm not going to hide away. Like, people want to act like they don't want success. Like, I want to be successful, and I want to show you up front that, like, I'm saying I want to be successful. So hopefully it inspires you to also loudly say that you want to be successful. Everyone has the right to say that they want to be successful and that they want good for themselves. Like, and people are shamed into thinking that they can't say that out loud, but you can say that out loud, and that's what I'm saying. So that's the spiel about my book. I will get, like, more into the lore and stuff like that each week, just talking about different things that I'm thinking about while I'm writing this week. So, and talk about different inspirations that I have for the book. Like, literally, all my dolls and all the stuff on the shelf are there to inspire me. Like, when I get stuck writing and I'm like, what do I do? Like, I'll turn and I'll think about their stories, and I'll think about why they inspired me and what different traits of them go into my main character or the women around my main character. So, yeah, talk about inspirations and just the book progress. Keep you in the loop on that so that when the day comes, you know, you can say you were here first when it's the next, like, big giant series. And HBO will, like, let us make a live action, and I'll be like, no, that's not the point of the series. The series is about exploiting young women, so you can't have young female actresses playing those roles ever. It could be turned into an anime, but it's never going to be live action. No, HBO, you can't. That's what it's going to be, okay? Anyways, so we're near the end of the podcast. Oh my gosh, we made it through together. I did have to stop at one point and, like, figure out my camera and stuff like that, because editing this is gonna be crazy. Anyways, so it's been a time, but I'll leave you with my kind of final my little motivational speech at the end of the week. My feminist motivational speech. So, things are, like, really hard right now. Like, the world is so unfathomably cruel right in front of our faces. Like, and we're really having to face that as a society. Like, what we are going through right now collectively is, like, our lives, like, you think, like, post-2020, or, like, yeah, pre-2020, just, like, I think we all have lost our identities and had to find it again, and we're just insurmountable, like, we're literally facing insurmountable, like, horrors. And we are all doing our best every single day to still just, like, get through the day and get through these hard times. And something that, you know, and then you're dealing with all that, and then you have stuff in life, like, you know, you're going through your day-to-day, and then, like, as a woman, you'll have, like, this moment of, you know, some man just being disrespectful to you. And then, like, at least for me, those little things will just, like, trigger the hell out of me, and, like, I'll get so angry, and it's all about, like, reeling in, and, like, you know, so I guess I'm gonna explain to you, like, one of the tactics I use to reel myself back in when those things happen, anytime, like, because, you know, like, if a man, or, like, anything that, like, you know, when someone who benefits from society being patriarchal, when they then slight you, it can feel really, really, it can make you so angry, because it's just like, you know, not only do you see it on this mass systemic scale, but then you just see it up in your face, and you can't deal with the systemic stuff directly, but you can, you know, punch that man in the face right there, but it's, you know, you go, I want to keep my job, so let me not punch my boss in the face. Like, for example, the bar that I was working at, the owner was never ever in there. Like, he has multiple places all over the country, and he was never in there. He had no idea what was going on with his business. He really doesn't know how to run a bar at all. Like, this man has genuinely no idea what he's doing. And I've worked in the food industry since I was 15. I really understand, while I had never been in a management position prior to this job, like, I really understood how management worked just because I always worked with managers in the food industry, and I have always worked in the food industry, and I really, really understand how things are supposed to be run. I understand, like, the health violations and, like, how to keep a workplace clean. Like, I understand these things through and through. I have been working since I was 15 years old in customer service food environments, okay? So bartending was just the next step. And anyways, the owner was never in, and he would come in and just say redundant things to me, like, talk to me like I was an idiot, when I literally have probably I've spent more time in a restaurant than this man. Like, it was it wasn't just a bar, it was like a bar and a thrift store. So this man, I think he understood retail better. The whole place closed, so clearly he doesn't know what he's doing at all. But it was, yeah. But he would come in and try to just, like, he would be so rude, and he would, you know, and I want to keep my job, and I want to get this promotion, so I'm just like, thank you for telling me that. I didn't know that I had to have the red sanitation bucket out. You just got here 5 minutes before I opened, so, you know, I haven't filled it up yet, but I'm not going to explain that to you. You're so smart, and you're not balding. you know, so anyways, when you're in those type of situations where it's just like the little things of like just the blatant disrespect and men having no clue what they're doing around you, like those little things when you're seeing all these horrible things happening, you know, to like people, it's just when it's right in front of your face, it's hard to bite your tongue sometimes. At least I struggle with that. And other people are gonna, you know, have different ways of reacting to it, but it's affecting, I know a lot of people when I talk to my friends about it, like, you know, it can be mind-numbing. So, something that helps me keep my head on straight is when I'm being disrespected by someone like that, I just try to remember that, like, I still have a soul. Like, I did not sell myself out to, like, patriarchy or the system. And, like, I'm choosing to come every single day as myself. Every single day I show up as myself, and, like, I feel joy and love. Like, I don't feel hollow inside. Like, so many of these men and other people, you know, women also, who subscribe to patriarchy and who live by its, like, dogmatic rule, like, at the end of the day, they're the unhappy ones. They're the ones in loveless marriages. They're the ones who are so scared of anything joy or whimsy. Like, if you're a man, they're so scared of, like, joy and whimsy because then they're going to be seen as, like, gay or a girl. You know, like, think about it. Like, they can't even sit down and enjoy, like, a fun little thing. They're miserable. And I really have to remind myself, I'm like, when like, you know, like what I was saying with my example with, like, the bar, when he's like, you know, you have to put the red sanitation bucket out. That man feels so insecure about being in my presence. Like, like, it's actually romantic, like, how intimidated you are by me, that, like, you need to make me feel small. Because it's like, when they do that, when they go out of their way, they actually, like, what they're doing is they're looking for your approval in the sense of, like, you submitting to them and being like, oh, I'm so sorry I didn't do that. Don't submit to them. Let them know that they're being embarrassing because they know that you know that. They don't actually think you're dumb. They're scared that you're smarter than them. Like, that's what it is. And that's what I do. I remember, I have a soul. I literally have a soul. I can feel joy and whimsy. I can bake a pie and eat it with my friends, and we can sit around together and laugh and feel joy. True, genuine joy. Not hollow joy. Like, those people too. What do when they go hang out with their friends, with their bros? They sit around and they don't talk about anything. They just compete with each other. They're at each other's throats all the time, trying to one-up each other, stroking each other's dicks to see who has the biggest one. Like, that's their lives. And that's sad and pathetic. You're losers. You're a bunch of fucking losers. And you wish that you had half the joy and whimsy and love in your heart that a woman or a gay person or a person of color has when they actually experience their culture and not blind themselves by going, I'm white. Your whiteness is so important to you. Who are your ancestors? Maybe you figure that out, you know? Maybe you figure out who your ancestors were and try to learn from history. Because, like, I'm Irish, okay? Like, I know the history of my people, okay? My family came over here in 1920, okay? Like, I know, like, my cultural background. I know Irish tradition. Like, my dad's side of the family is Indonesian. I know the history of Indonesia, you know? White people, this is what I'm telling you to do. Number one, shut the fuck up. I know I'm a white person here right now talking, but, like, if you're being, like, racist and shit and, like, homophobic, just shut the fuck up, generally. That's my message to you there. My other message is that, like, learn exactly your cultural heritage. Because right now you got your white blinders on, and that's all you're calling yourself. But you're not white. White doesn't exist, okay? Figure out, like, if you're German or you're English or, you know, Scandinavian. Figure out what type of white person you are. Maybe try to connect with that. maybe invest in your ancestors. And your ancestors, some of them, probably were horrible people. So maybe deconstruct that. Okay? That's my PSA there. And... oh, why am I lost track where I was, because I got pissed off. Anywho, yeah, I could really rant about this for a while, but it's just like they just live such meaningless lives. Really, truly, they do. And so when I have moments, then I remember that, in a split second, if I can remember that, I can just look at this dumb, lonely man and I can go, okay, I'm so sorry, like, I'll get, no, well, I don't do that, I just said I don't do that, but I'm like, okay, I'll go grab that. And then that's it, like, that's it, I actually don't do the little voice, don't do the little voice. But, yeah, you just go, okay, I'll go grab that, and ignore them, and then remember that literally they live meaningless lives, and you are full of joy and whimsy and can enjoy things. And no matter, like, even though we physically have less than, people like who exploit the system and have, like, a bunch of money and power, yes, materially we have less than them, but our lives are actually so much better than theirs because we have a soul. And I remember that. I try to remember that every day. That's what gets me through. So that's my motivation for the week. I hope that did something for you. Thanks for coming to my Yapathon, and please come back next week. You're going to be able to find this on YouTube and TikTok, definitely to start off, like little clips on TikTok, but YouTube, the full thing will be posted, and eventually I'm going to try to get on Spotify and Apple Radio. So, yeah, thank you all so much, and I'll see you next week.